Hello everyone, my name is Muzamil Putra and today I will be continuing my persuasive speech entitled NFTs are harmful to the environment. Now, for the last week's task, we already covered two parts of this presentation according to Monroe's technique. The first one is attention and the second one is the need. We explained about why NFTs transaction has to be stopped because it uses a huge amount of energy and how it will lead to a huge carbon footprint and how it will eventually lead to climate change. Okay, now for this week's task, we are entering the satisfaction section, which which means which means that I am going to explain about the solutions to this problem. Okay, we already established how NFTs are harmful to the environment. Now let's discuss about what we can do in order to save the world from NFTs transaction. Okay, so the first one is we must not purchase NFTs, which is, to be frank, an easy task because most of us cannot afford NFT animals because they are crazy expensive. So this first step is directed towards the rich people who should be more mindful about how their money is being spent. Okay, next, the government needs to create new laws, create new regulations so that the huge amount of energy being used for NFT transaction can be contained. Okay, now the third thing we can do is if we decide to be an artist one day, we must not sell our masterpieces in the form of NFT. You can sell your arts online, which is not going to be a problem. However, if it's in the form of NFT, that will be a problem because NFT it consumes a huge amount of energy. And also, I would highly recommend for every artist to sell their product physically and more memorable than pictures of ugly monkeys. We can learn more about on how to solve this NFT problem according to Joanne Lemercier, who was who was an NFT artist. This artist decided to quit being an NFT artist because he learns the consequences of NFT transactions. When he found out that the transaction of only 6 pieces of his NFT products, um, okay, Let me just rephrase that. When Joanne learned that the transaction of his 6 pieces in 10 seconds is enough to power his studio for 2 years, he decided to quit. And he decided to become an activist and to spread awareness about how this NFT transactions are about how this NFT transaction will leave a huge amount of carbon footprint and how it would leave and how it would lead Earth towards the climate change. So Giovanni Lemercier, his writings and his activity can be read in his website. Okay, the next section is about visualization. This is the part where I would like to imagine my audience. Uh, this is the part where I would ask my audience to imagine a world where low carbon emission is possible, and a world where arts can be created without pollution, a world where money can be spent to save Earth instead of buying ugly pictures of monkey and destroying the Earth along the way. Okay, now we are entering the action section, which is the final reminder. So I will start this section by talking about by recapping my whole presentation. First of all, we learned about NFT, we learned about blockchain, and we learned about cryptocurrency. And the next thing is that we learned about we learned that these NFTs transaction, how the blockchain and how the cryptocurrency would would use a huge amount of energy, and how it would lead to 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 a huge carbon footprint. And when you left a huge amount of carbon footprint, it would lead to the earth being warmed up, and climate change would be more and more inevitable. And finally, we also learned the stories about how Justin Bieber did not learn from his mistakes in purchasing an NFT, and we also learned about how a former NF a former NFT artist, Joanny Lemercier, who learned from his mistake and decided to spread the awareness about how terrible the consequences of NFT purchasements truly are. Now, as a final reminder, we need to act now. We need to stop purchasing NFTs. This advice is directed towards the rich people. Instead of buying the pictures of silly monkeys and destroying Earth along the way, we need to use money wisely, mindfully. We need to use that money to fix Earth itself. And we also need to create new laws to contain the huge power consumption by NFT transactions. And also, some advice for NFT for artists out there. We need to stop selling arts in the digital NFT forms, because NFTs are using a huge amount of power. And lastly, at the very least, I would like to remind all of my audience to spread the awareness. That is the least thing we can do. Now, to end this presentation, I would like to show you guys my references in making this presentation slide and in presenting this persuasive speech. That will be all. Thank you so much for watching.